Yvonne Wadley here with the Seat at the Table podcast, and I'm very excited today to be with Anna from the Navajo Nation.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anarita Begay. Totsotni Bashichin, Toricini Dashichet, Ashche Dashanelle, Ni Jihisana Ada, Ni Nashado, Ada Kehost. I work for the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension. I'm out of the Navajo Nation, County area. I just did my introduction in Navajo, which are just my clans. For those of you guys that are familiar with clan systems, they're very big part of our self-identities. So I'm the Near the Water people, my mother's clan, born for the Big Water people, my father's clan. My paternal grandfather is of the Bitter Water clan, and my maternal grandfather is of the Red Streak Across the Bottom clan. So when I do my identity, when I'm doing these presentations and I introduce myself in this way, I'm able to identify family members near and far. And even if we don't know each other, I can find a cousin, I can find a brother, I can find a grandma, I can find uncle, no matter where I go in the world. As a Navajo or any indigenous person, we're always trying to find a relation to somebody, and it's our social responsibility to find those relations all over the world.
That is so beautiful. That is so neat. Okay, I love
Yeah,
it. You're gonna
it's
make me cry.
interesting.
You can just gonna make me cry.
So yeah, it's a neat thing. A lot of people don't understand what we're saying, but when we're talking like this, we're actually finding our connections to the world. So we always have a feeling of belonging, even when we walk into a different room. I could walk into a room in China, and if there was a Navajo person that came up to me and we introduced ourselves and we understood each other's clans, our clan groups could even be related, and I could find a cousin in China if I wanted to.
That is so neat. Very, very neat. So when you think about food on the Navajo Nation, what traditions of memory come to mind first, and why are they important today, specifically today?
I think my favorite memory and tradition is probably going to be sitting around a cooking fire, a traditional cooking fire with big pots, big pans, firewood, open pit, and you're cooking for ceremony with your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, and everybody's got a job or something's going on, and there's a hustle and bustle going on. Everybody's working toward the same goal. And you have these family members that are coming in, and you're meeting new people that you've never met before that are related to you. So you have aunties and uncles coming in and telling stories that they learn from long, long days past from your elders, and you get to learn those. And you get to hang out with your nieces and your nephews and teach them how to cook and teach them how to work the fire. And you get to meet new members of the family. It's a really big community building thing when you have matriarchs in the same kitchen working toward the same goal for the same thing and having fun and laughing and making music together. It really creates that sense of community with each other. So it's very important to cook together.
So it sounds like cooking is one of those core things where everybody comes together, like you said, for to achieve the certain goal, right? To prepare whatever you guys are cooking, but is blended with stories and passing of knowledge and passing of all these traditions that maybe the younger people haven't heard, or somebody triggers a memory or a thought of something and that story comes out. So
And
it's like it's
it's
best
a
to be around the cooking, because that's where you're gonna get the stories.
Yeah, I think that's the best place for me to be at any point in time. I'm always looking for those opportunities to talk with my aunties and my cousins and sit and cook and learn different techniques, or talk with their kids, and get to know their kids. Everything happens in the kitchen, and we do it all the time. We practice it every day. I mean, we should be practicing it every day when we're making dinner to sit down and eat, or we're having birthday parties, or we're having some sort of a family get together. It happens, and it happens naturally when you create those opportunities. Yeah.
So it sounds like traditional foods and foodways have shaped the family routines and the community gatherings for the Navajo Nation.
Yeah, it creates those teaching opportunities for matriarchs to get together. And we are a matriarchal society in on the Navajo side. So a lot of our teachings comes from our mothers, and they're the keepers of the home. They're the ones that cook and maintain and own the land. And then we have the husbands and the men that come in and support the creation of that holistic, safe feeling in the house, you know.
What are some of the biggest strengths that you see in the Navajo? What are some of the sorry, the doctor. What are some of the biggest strengths you see in the Navajo food system, whether that's local growers, traditional knowledge, or community-led efforts?
I think it would be the opportunity to create teaching opportunities, the opportunity to grow business if you wanted to. I think it would be resilience is also really good. I think those are the best in the Navajo Nation food system right now. We don't have much of a food system going on. We do have a lot of policies that are holding us back, and then the cost of things, seed, water, and then also water rights is something that we need to think about. There's some things that are there that are hindering the food system, but any kind of resilience or any kind of growth or any kind of opportunity, I think is our major advantage.
So many communities are working to reclaim traditional foods. What does food sovereignty looks like from your perspective?
Food sovereignty to me is trading, bartering, community resilience, community healing, learning to work with your neighbor and making better, healthier food choices and food availability locally that you don't have to buy. Food sovereignty to me would be cheap, affordable, readily accessible, already on your shelves and ready to go foods, you know, and then just a wealth of knowledge and trading with your neighbors to be able to have food. To me, like food sovereignty is learning to grow what you have on hand and learning how to create a system that works for you and your family, and using that same system to teach each other, maybe your neighbor. And your neighbor can grow something, and so you're working back and forth together to create, you know, a good healthy system of trade and barter, and you're helping to feed each other, you know. A lot of communities no longer have this system of community anymore. They no longer communicate. A lot of people don't even talk to their neighbors anymore or work with their neighbors anymore. Creating a food system is really creating community healing for me. I feel like because those systems are slowly going away, a lot of that communication between our people is harder to find. So it creates this opportunity to understand how you can provide in your roles and your responsibilities. You're always responsible for yourself. Then you have a responsibility to your family, to your home, to your children, to make sure there's food on the table. From there, you practice generosity, your spirit, your love, your understanding of the world. Then you provide to people further out within your community, your neighbor, your friend's friend, your children's friends, your aunties, your uncles, your cousin, and your responsibility starts to grow further and further with more generosity as you're building these food systems. A food system is not something that's one in its own. It's something that's connected to your self-identity as a human being, as a woman, as a matriarch, as a male who has to provide and protect. So as you're practicing these food ways, you're practicing self-sufficiency, you're practicing good communication and healthy relationships, and you're building and creating a community for yourself and for your family to pull, use, and trade. And as you're creating these healthy avenues of communication, you're creating this sense of community and family. And as you're creating, you start to realize that these genuine human interactions start to build on themselves. And so you start to network further and further and further. Um, until you've got yourself feeding an entire community. I've seen this with my own eyes, I think, through the life of my grandparents, right? So when we're talking about traditional food systems, it's not something that's apart from yourself. It's the responsibility of something that's first. No civilization can live without water or without food. Not even one person, a human being, can't live without. So if you can provide for yourself, the responsibility grows and grows and grows until you've created your own community. That's the power of a food systems. That's the power of identifying yourself as, a spiritual, strong, human, indigenous person with strong roots and identity in your food, in your teachings, in your creation stories, and in, the root of all your teachings for your children. If you have that kind of identity to your food, you're never going to be able to go hungry. You're never going to go without support. You're never going to be alone in the world. You're rooted in it. It's never one without the other. Yeah.
And you're grounded in this big community that you've been a part of. And it's
Mhm.
almost like everybody kind of relies on each other. So you're, like you're saying, you're never alone. Somebody's always there to lend a hand. And
Yeah.
when you're up, then you share out of the generosity of your heart. And when
Yeah.
you're down, then they share with you. So to have
Yeah.
that clear understanding amongst the people, it sounds like the dream, right? Like that's what we
Yeah.
want.
The Western type of food system right now. We have grocery stores. It's all monetarily based. It's monetarily driven. In a traditional indigenous food system, all indigenous people are connected to the soil, to the ground, to the creation of food, and so it gives you a place to anchor yourself. So that you understand your responsibility to not just your home, your family, but to the entire universe and to the world, the rain, the wind, just to be able to create one piece of corn, one piece of squash, right? And it creates those family responsibilities within the home. So when I think of food systems, it's all encompassing. It's not one without the other.
And it also, it sounds like with that mentality, it also leads you to care for the land because the land is what's providing you this food. So
Yeah.
it is like a whole thing that works together in synchrony.
Yeah. And and when you're learning these, you start to become empathetic with Earth and with Mother Earth. You start to understand the issues in the world, environmental issues, water issues, ozone issues, solar issues. And you start to understand how you play into it and how your family plays into it and what you can do better. So how do you start to influence policy from there forward? What are you able to do? So it's not something that you're just doing for yourself just to eat. It becomes bigger than yourself the more you look into it. The more you plant for yourself, the more you cook for yourself. So not only do you think about social issues, you think about health and wellness and physical health and wellness, but you also think about environmental health as well. Yeah, it's all encompassing, not one without the other.
Yeah, for sure. What challenges do you see families face in accessing fresh or affordable foods, and what solutions are emerging?
Here on the Navajo Nation, we are a food desert, and we only have 10 grocery stores on the Navajo Nation.
Just for perspective, can you say how big the land is with that 10 grocery stores?
Yeah. So the Navajo Nation is about the size of West Virginia. It's bigger than a lot of states on the East Coast. And to drive from one end of the Navajo Nation to the other end of the Navajo Nation, it's about 4.5 hours drive from east to west. So it's a vast, vast nation. We could be a state of our own. So 10 grocery stores across the Navajo Nation could be up to an hour drive for some people, and then an hour drive back. So 2 hours round trip. The access to healthy foods here is more costly than you would find in cities
Mm.
because of the cost of transport. So we're spending probably about 5 to 10% more on fresh fruits and vegetables. And so we end up buying more frozen or canned fruits and vegetables, but still accessible. And then with the introduction of like the commodity systems, we do a lot of canned foods, and those are the vegetables that we've always had available to us. And so because of this reason, we've got higher rates of heart disease on our reservation because of all the canning salt that's being used in those canned foods. Other things that can affect fresh fruits and vegetables here is access to electricity and running water. Those of us that don't have running water or electricity don't have refrigeration, and if we don't have any of those, we can't keep fresh fruits and vegetables fresh for long periods of time. Those of us with transportation issues, if we decide we want to go and get um, our groceries that are an hour away, we might only have two opportunities to get to that grocery store every month. So are we going to be getting fresh fruits and vegetables that are going to go bad within a week, or are we going to get the canned vegetables that are going to last on the shelf for at least a couple of weeks before we have to make another trip to the grocery store again? So those are some of the problems that we have accessing fresh fruits and vegetables right now.
And what role do community gardens, local growers, or chapter house initiatives play in strengthening your local food system?
Right now, the chapter houses are doing a lot of St. Mary's food banks. So they're bringing these mobile food banks to our reservation so that people can get fresh fruits and vegetables and access any type of food for themselves closer to home, so that they're not making those 1 to 2 hour drives to the nearest grocery stores. With community gardens, they're accessing me, where they're asking me to come in to teach people how to do gardening on a small scale just for themselves, and to inspire their communities to start to grow, to learn, or even to just take a class. Other things that they're doing is they're requesting canning classes, food preservation classes. A lot of these knowledges that had been passed down for generations have gone away within 2 generations with the introduction of, USDA food system, of commodity foods or SNAP benefits. And it's really hard to reintroduce that into the communities when, people have to go to work to make the money and they don't have the time to make it to the chapter house to do these things. Other things that they're doing is becoming to create awareness on how to use their land use permits to create their own foods, and they're using their livestock as well for their own self-sufficiency and sustenance. The chapter houses do have a lot of influence with the Navajo Nation government. It's the people that have to ask for it, right? So we have to advocate for ourselves to request for these programs so that we can create our own foods at home. The cost of gardening or the cost of farming on a large scale is really, really hard to meet, especially during times of drought. There's not a lot of water access out here. And without water, we can't really grow anything. We can get seeds and we can have dirt to be able to grow in, but without the water, that we can't go anywhere with that. So chapter houses, their main influence would probably be, with the creation of a farm board of some sort, or just supporting their communities with access to a tractor or plowing supplies.
And how do how do people find out that this is out there and that they need to advocate for that? Like, what is a way that you guys are working, or not you necessarily, but that people are working towards making people aware that this program is out there?
I do a lot of flyers. I'm doing a lot of online classes for all people to jump on, making it accessible to everybody through the Navajo Nation Library. And then just letting people know that I'm here. They can invite me out to their chapters at any time, and I can do an in-person class with them. And we can, definitely put in a plan for a community garden so that they can use that community garden to ask other programs to come in and do trainings for them and use it for the purpose of, education for the community. I think that the Navajo Nation has a great opportunity to create their own food system here. We don't have a lot of programming and a lot of funding to be able to help a lot of these. And then we also have people who are holding on to land use permits that are not active. For example, with my chapter, there's 102 land use permits. So the BIA had created a system of land use. So a permit is distributed to yourself or to a family member to use these land use permits And a lot of these land use permits, it takes time to get them transferred over to somebody who is capable of managing and maintaining the farm or the land. And these policies haven't been enforced for a very long time. And so those leases haven't gone through a probate process to pass them on to a living, capable person. And nothing's growing on it.
So
There's
it's
no
just sitting there waiting to be
it's just
used.
sitting there, yeah, no fencing, um, and it's just overgrown, it's not being used. And then also, if the land even though the land is there, there's no water to be able to get it there. People have to haul their water from the chapter houses to be able to get something sprouted in the ground. And then the soil has in some cases has been overused and not managed and maintained correctly. So its nutrition and the nutrition in the soil has been completely depleted with, industrial farming that, our grandparents were taught and were used without supplementing the fertilization or the regeneration of the soil. They're completely bare now. So it takes work to be able to bring it back to life again.
For it to produce something that's
Yeah.
nutritious and will be worth all that effort to even get it going.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
The return on the growing is not going to be as much as it is as much money as you're going to be putting in. So you have to teach low cost methods on how to, repair that system. And there has to be programs within chapter to promote that and create that. And so the only thing that chapters can do is to create those programs and create councils to discuss those issues within their community and make a community plan, to create that food system within it. And it has to be sustainable, right? In order to make these systems sustainable, they have to go through a period of policy changes from the US government down to the tribal government to your local BIA office, to our, local farming boards, and then implemented as well. There's a lot of access to free money through the USDA to get these kinds of projects going. It's just finding the people behind it to push for those monies to get into their communities and get this. It's cheaper to do classes on soil health and regeneration than it is to have them try to go out and do potted plants or potting in any kind of soil like that. In that way, you're regenerating the soil and you're creating that knowledge base for the people. It's going to be cheaper to do it that way. Using what you have already on hand, wood from your wood pile, old leaves, things like that. I think that would be probably the best method. Yeah.
So composting and doing that kind of stuff to make the land be healthy again would be better. What parts of your work feel most meaningful to you right now?
Right now, I think would probably be food preservation around about this time of the year. And gardening. Those are the main parts of my work that I'm interested in. Because the gardening part, it's like I said, it's all encompassing. It creates those learning opportunities for everybody, and we do need to increase our knowledge base for anything growing. And then also food preservation. How do we take the food that we're growing and put it into shelves so that it'll last us throughout the winter, right? So canning and dehydration and putting things away. And then how do we cook with those fruits and vegetables? A lot of us have lost the cooking knowledge of how to, cook. So that would probably be my most pressing issue, especially with the way the has been with the discontinuance of the SNAP program and benefits in the month of October. I think that since I started teaching about Navajo Nation food systems about 10 years ago, I understood that the USDA SNAP and food distribution program were so massive that it could not continue to sustain itself. And if there was any type of U.S. economic hardship, those programs could be cut or they could be, severely decreased. That could cause, food insecurity on a massive, massive scale.
Your community shows a lot of strength and resilience. What do you feel is most important for people to understand about that strength and the work happening on the ground since you're in the ground?
I think with that one, the message that food is medicine needs to be really reinforced. Food is medicine for your body. Food is medicine for your soul. Food is medicine for your communities, for your social interactions, for the health and wellness of, earth and soil and erosion. Food is medicine for a lot of different things. I think that message should be pushed to everybody. With that message, they can start to make better, healthier, decisions on what they're going to eat that night, what they're going to eat that morning, how they're going to feel later on. And, just getting up in the morning and going to sleep early, a lot of that is there in that message. I feel like because we have a lot of access issues, a lot of those choices are kind of taken away from us, right? There's so much that we can do with what we have on hand. I think it's most important for people to understand that. With SNAP Ed going away, a lot of access to community education goes away. So I feel like leadership should start looking into more programming for local food production, right? And education opportunities. We have all of extension available. University of Arizona's extension is available and they do teach classes. They might not teach, small gardening classes the way SNAP Education has done or canning classes the way we have done, but we can still make the request to, extension to bring those kinds of education to our communities. There's also other USDA programs that are available that can provide these access to classes, I guess, but they're going to be a little bit more on the farming side. So sheep and animal husbandry and care to create meat resources. I really wouldn't know how to go forward with a lot of that. So the creation of some sort of a program that'll be able to provide all of the same things that SNAP Education would do, so that, and making it sustainable and affordable is going to be one of the main key issues to push for through probably the Navajo Nation Department of Health here.
For listeners who want to help, what are the best ways local community members can get involved or support the work you and your partners are doing?
Come to a class, sign in, participate, visit my booth when I'm out at my events, get active, learn something new, watch homesteading videos. Those are always really nice to do. Learn how to put something away for a hard time, preserve your own foods and put something away for the long run, learn a different skill of some sort to make sure that you always have something going on all the time.
And is there anything you wish more people knew about the realities, needs, or opportunities within your community?
I think people need to know that the system that we have in place under the United States government and with the Farm Bill, it needs a complete overhaul. There's a lot of things that are setting us back from being able to access funding. And then we're watching all of these funds coming in, but they're grossly underused for the purpose that they're supposed to be used for, because it has to be monitored to the point where we can't even use it. By the time the money gets to us, it can't be used for what it's supposed to be used for, especially for tribal communities.
Is there a traditional dish that holds a special place in your heart, one that brings you back to your culture?
Steamed corn stew. I made some steamed corn over the weekend. I found a deal on corn at the local pier in Window Rock, and I bought all the corn for like $25. So I steamed all the corn over the weekend. It was really nice. I have them hanging right now inside the house. And when that corn completely dries out, I get to shuck the corn and put it away. Come wintertime, I'll be able to take that steamed corn and put it in with a little bit of mutton and serve it with tortillas. It's a really, really good treat. The steamed corn alone is very expensive. It's like $20 a pound. Yeah,
So,
so
so you have to boil it. So you bought all this corn and you boil it, and then
steamed
you
it.
have it. And I'm sorry,
I steamed it.
you steamed it, and then you said you have it hanging. What does that look like?
It looks like strings of corn, steamed corn hanging on a line, like a clothesline outside. And so it's currently drying outside. Hopefully it'll dry out within the next couple of weeks, and I'll take it off of the cob completely. So I take the entire corn and I'll braid corn together in long strings. And so you've got these strings of corn hanging along
Oh, they
a
stay
wire.
together? After they
Yeah.
dry, they stay together?
Yeah, they'll stay together until you break them apart. So they're braided together right now, hanging on a line.
It's really neat. And how do you make it the dish that you wanna make with it?
You slow cook it. You slow cook it for at least 12 hours with some mutton in it, and it's just the mutton and the corn alone, and it comes out so flavorful and so good. I like to take it to, like, special family events and for, like, Christmas. It's really, really good.
That sounds really delicious. It's
Yeah.
it's like one of those dishes that has so much love into it because it has so much work and preparation. Like, you have to plan ahead like a month
Yeah.
so that you could do
Yeah.
it.
And the preservation method, it takes forever. It takes weeks. I had like 50 ears of corn this weekend. And so steaming all of that and braiding them all together and hanging them up, it's going to take a couple of weeks for it to dry out before I can even process it to the point where I can put it away and it's shelf stable. But it's really, really, really good. And whenever I make any type of steamed corn stew, everybody's really grateful. And it's usually the first dish to go because people will like take all of the corn out and they'll sit there and hoard the corn. So
It's like,
I
"Oh,"
have to watch. I You have to serve people. You have to serve people their portions, or they're gonna go overboard. You have to
like,
be
"This is
very
the
protective.
only thing I'm eating. You guys can have everything."
You have to stand guard and say, "This is mine. I will. I'll give you your portion. You're not allowed to take, what you want."
So do you peel the corn before you steam it or
No, you steam it with the corn on it.
the husk gone?
Yeah, with the husks on. Yeah, you steam it together as a whole. So as it's steaming, you steam it in a steamer pot for like 2 to 3 hours. And when it gets nice and soft, you take it out. You'll pull the husks back and you'll braid the husks together and expose the entire corn. The corn then dries out for about a month before it can be stored. You shuck the corn after it's dried off of the cobs, and you'll go through a cleaning process where you'll get all the little bits off of them. So we're out there, getting all of that fluff off of the corn. And then you can store it in jars and put it away for winter. And they stay for up to about 10 years.
Wow. So once
Yeah.
you do that process, well, not yours because 'cause you're gonna cook it and everybody's gonna eat it,
Oh
but
yeah, it's very much sought after. I like to if when I get large amounts of corn or whenever we have a good harvest, we'll give it away for Christmas and people are always really grateful to get it. Just take my class, learn a little bit more about the programs that are available within your communities, learn something about gardening or learn something about your food and your food systems, and really think about where your food comes from before it gets to your plate. With that kind of knowledge, there's a lot of different ways you can change up how you eat or how you buy at home and influence those changes in your family and within your community. It's your own responsibility to keep your family fed and healthy in your homes, especially those of you that are future matriarchs or mothers in your family. Create those food systems within your own household. Eat together, talk together, create those memories and those core values in your children, and get your children cooking as young as possible and help them to understand where their food comes from. I had a second grader. I asked him where milk comes from, and he said dinosaurs. He did not know that milk came from cows. So help them to understand where food comes from.